Patreon paying people here at the top of the show is what we're all about. Those that give their hard-earned money each and every month, I guess it is. And they are at a levels, Jerry, levels. They're at the top level, so they get sponsorship right here at the top of the show. So if you want to do that, patreon.com/thefinallap.
Yes, yes, yes. We've got, and we kind of were going back and forth. Was it five? Was it four last week? It is five sponsors at the top of the show
Whoa.
now, Kerry. So
Okay.
yeah, let's go through them. We've got Louisville Max over there at the Ultimate Final Lapper tier. Louisville Max, a super awesome dude, always in the fantasy racing game. Met him at Indianapolis, super, super awesome dude. So thank you, Louisville Max. We've also got Alex Taylor over there at the Ultimate Final Lapper tier. So thank you, Alex, as well. And then we've got some folks over there at the Only Mattress Giant level tier of the Patreon page. We've got Joe Bike, the original patron sponsor of the show. So thank you, Joe. We've got David Letchworth as well. And of course, Devin over there at the bottom end of the Only at Mattress Giant level tiers. Thank you guys, seriously, from the bottom of our hearts. Back to you, Kerry. Let's get this show started.
This is the Final Lap Weekly, a show where a couple of guys talk about all things NASCAR. My name is Kerry Murphy. I'm a longtime host of All Things The Final Lap, and I will be continuing next year, my 20th year, doing it on the radio. Our co-host is Toby Christie, founder and editor-in-chief at TobyChristieCom and RacingAmerica.com.
Dude, by the way, congratulations. Going into 20 years. I mean, that's big. That's huge.
Thank you.
It's a really cool milestone, man.
20 years doing anything, I think, is big, I guess.
Yeah. So the fact that you've been talking about cars going in circles for 20 years, that's pretty impressive.
I have loved cars of all kinds since I was a kid, and it only makes sense that I talk about them for a living. So.
Since your old Mustang caught on fire, right?
You remember that?
I remember everything.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, my Mustang caught on fire. But a couple days later, I went to go pick it up, and it drove home fine.
Well, there you go. See?
So,
yeah.
And it drove fine after that. So whatever was on fire, it wasn't important.
Flames were extinguished, and you were good to go. So it's all good.
Yeah, I didn't care. As long as it got me from A to B. I still, to this day, don't know what actually caught fire, but I mean, everything still worked.
So you took it to the mechanic, and they never were able to go, yeah, here's what happened.
Wait, I was supposed to take it to a mechanic?
Oh, or you just smacked on it with a hammer a few times. And
no,
said,
I just tested everything, and yep, it works. Let's go.
Looks good. Although it was simpler times back then too. There weren't a bunch of computers and stuff you had to deal with, so you could actually work on them yourself.
Especially a '65 Mustang. There was not a computer to be found. So
yes,
yeah, that was me working on the car. I actually did my own repairs and stuff like that. And as a teenager, I knew nothing about cars. I just figured it out. And we didn't have the internet to go check YouTube or anything.
Incredible.
Yeah, it was kind of stupid.
Well, let's get into something this week where guys will not be just going by the seat of their pants diagnosing what's wrong with cars.
Specifically, Christopher Bell, who had an awful race car. What happened?
It wasn't so awful there when he needed it the most. Came to life in the back half of this race, and Mr. Clutch gets it done yet again. I mean, he just always seems to get these pressure-packed situations where he comes to the front and takes care of business.
Didn't his crew chief at one point, tell him to try a little harder, and he came on the radio, okay, I'll try now.
Yeah, he was saying that he pretty much was ready to throw in the towel in stage 2. He was done. He just did not like where things were going, was ready to just mentally check out, but Adam Stevens and the team kept him in the game, kept his mind right, and at the end of the race, they had a shot to win, and they closed it out with a solid victory.
It was one of those things. I mean, he was clutch last year. Didn't he win Martinsville?
Yeah, he won Martinsville. He also won earlier at the Roval, I believe, too. Like just 2 cutoff elimination races. Needed both of them, got the championship 4. And now this year he gets it done a week early, and he's in the championship 4 already.
Amazing. It was really incredible to watch.
And he's a guy that you look at his body of work. He always puts these performances with big time pressure on his back. You go into a place like Phoenix where the Joe Gibbs racing cars over the years have been pretty good. Sometimes they haven't been great, but I've got a feeling this is the possible year for Christopher Bell locking his way into that championship four. They've got an extra week to kind of prepare for that specific race.
Yep.
I feel pretty good about their chances because this guy has been pretty good in these kind of situations.
Now, on the flip side, his couple of teammates didn't fare too well with Martin Truex Jr. blowing an engine and Denny Hamlin with his own problems.
Yeah, so Hamlin had an issue with the steering. I guess when he shifted, it blew the engine or over rev things, and for whatever reason that activated something in the steering area of the car, and
Hmm.
the wheel kind of jarred loose out of his hands, and he went up into the wall. So disastrous day for both of those Joe Gibbs Racing teammates who looked pretty good coming into these playoffs, and definitely as the rounds were going. Truex hasn't looked good, but Hamlin looked pretty safe. And now they're going into Martinsville, both of them needing a win to advance, it looks like at this point.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that. Only 2 spots remain after Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell locked themselves in with wins in the first 2 races of this, it's not stage, round. Currently, William Byron has the 3rd spot with 30 points above the cut. Ryan Blaney is in 4th with just 10, but remember, any of those drivers and the drivers I'm about to mention can win and take one of those spots. Tyler Reddick, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, and Chris Buescher. If they get wins, or William Byron or Ryan Blaney, they lock into that 3rd spot. So, I mean, all bets are off after that. And then there's only 1 points spot. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Like you said, I think William Byron has to feel pretty good, pretty safe. I know,
Yep.
with stage points and stuff like that, he can be mathematically passed, but it's gonna take a tall task for somebody to pull that off. But you look at things, Ryan Blaney, man, he's been really, really, really good at Martinsville.
Yep.
Sneaky good. Many people haven't really talked about him being so good at Martinsville, but I feel pretty good about his chances at the amount of points he is back. It's going to take a victory from somebody with the way Ryan Blaney's performed at Martinsville to be able to pull this one off.
William Byron, I mean, it would be a shame if he doesn't make the championship four. I mean,
Could you imagine?
Yeah. Just
Like
really bad.
you look for reasons to get rid of this format. If a guy like William Byron, who's been so good all year long, has a 30-point lead going into this final cutoff race,
right,
somehow doesn't make it into the championship four.
But it could happen.
6 wins. It could. We saw Harvick with 9 wins didn't make the championship four. One of the most impressive statistical seasons we've ever seen in NASCAR history, where he completed all but 3 laps that season, didn't make the championship four. So it's one of those things where it's not guaranteed. It's not for sure. You have to be up on it each and every week. And it does come down to this. Now, he does have a solid 30-point advantage, but you can make up 20 of those just from stages alone. So if he doesn't get any stage points and one of the guys behind him is 30 points back, gets those 10 stage points for winning stages, now all of a sudden it's a 10-point advantage with 1 stage to go. So
wow.
Things can happen. It's unlikely that it does, especially with how good William Byron's been at Martinsville, but it could happen.
Wow, don't tell William all that stuff. I hadn't thought of it. When you put it that way.
I'm sure he knows the situation, and I'm sure he's fine with where he's at.
Okay. Why am I looking at Charlotte?
Good question. But so to my point with Blaney, if you look back at Blaney's history here at Martinsville, right? You look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. His last 9 starts, his worst finish at Martinsville is 11th. He's got 2 second-place finishes, a 3rd-place finish, a 4th, a 5th, a 7th. I feel pretty good about Ryan Blaney. Plus, the Fords have been really good on these shorter, flatter tracks this year. It's been kind of their bread and butter, and especially if he makes it to the championship four with Phoenix coming up next, he's very dangerous. But I feel people have been underestimating him this entire playoffs. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the fact that he just hasn't had long, sustained runs in the playoffs, and that's why. But he is a guy to look out for, and if he gets it done here this weekend at Martinsville, he could be a championship favorite at Phoenix.
Don't forget William Byron, though. He's got a win at Martinsville, 4 top 5s and 6 top 10s, so he's no slouch at this track either.
No, certainly not. If you look at everybody in this round, honestly, I mean, Kyle Larson's good at Martinsville. Bell won here last year. You've got, Martin Truex Jr. and Hamlin are both very good at Martinsville. There's a lot of people who can make something happen this weekend. It's just, will anybody make something happen this weekend? That's the big question.
Before we get into Rowdy Dragon and his fantasy NASCAR picks for this weekend at Martinsville, let's talk about quickly the Xfinity Series Sam Mayer is locked in with a win, and John Hunter Nemechek, Cole Custer, and Austin Hill are inside the top 4. The bubble drivers include our buddy Justin Allgaier, friend of the show, Sammy Smith, Chandler Smith, and Sheldon Creed. But the same deal as the Cup Series. Win, and you are in regardless of standings or points.
Yes, and that's shaping up to be a pretty good battle as well. I cannot believe Sam Mayer is locked in based on how things looked earlier in the year. It was like, man, is this guy ever going to win a race?
Yep.
Then he started winning races, and now he's won them in bunches. He's got 4 wins this season. Finally gets his first oval win.
I was going to say those were all road course wins. So even he was saying that he wanted to get that oval under his belt.
Yeah, well, he's got it now, and what a good time to have it going into Martinsville, a race that's usually pretty typically chaotic for the Xfinity Series. He doesn't have to worry about any kind of chaos on the track this week, and he can prepare for Phoenix as well. And Junior Motorsports is a team that typically has guys that make it into that championship 4. Last year, they had 3 out of the 4 in the championship 4. Didn't win the title ultimately. Can Sam Mayer bring home the trophy for Junior Motorsports? We'll see.
And over in the Truck Series, real quick, that's already been decided. The championship 4 drivers are Corey Heim, Carson Hocevar, Ben Rhodes, and Grant Enfinger. They've got the week off, so they're going to be doing battle at Phoenix the following.
By the way, Ben Rhodes always finds a way, doesn't he? He was way outside contention, pulled some strategy in this race, him and Rich Lucius, and there they were in the closing laps, just barely to the good in points. And after a DQ from Zane Smith in this race, it was actually a tie in the points, but Ben Rhodes moves on due to the tiebreaker.
That hurts. Incredible
run for Ben. I cannot believe Ben Rhodes is in the championship 4 again, with a chance at his second championship. So I wouldn't count those guys out either. He's usually pretty good at Phoenix.
All right, let's get into it. Let's get his music fired up, and Rowdy Dragon is going to give you your fantasy NASCAR picks for this weekend at Martinsville. Take it away, Rowdy.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Rowdy Dragon back again with this week's Final Lap Weekly Fantasy Update. Well, we had another crazy race out in Homestead, Miami. A lot of playoff implications, a lot of fantasy implications. Let's take a look at our league and see how you guys made out. Looking at our first stage, we had a tie between Brick Racing and our very own Toby Christie taking that first stage. Second stage goes to AAFC, and this week's winner, DW All-Stars, finishing with 225 points, 55 stage points. 256 was max on the day. Pretty decent for you, DW. Good job. All right, taking a look at Rowdy, Toby, Kerry, and our sponsors, see where we stack up this week. Rowdy, I finished in the 107th spot, slipping one more position into the P12 spot. Toby Christie, a fairly decent day with that stage win, coming in P41, currently sitting 117th in the league. Kerry Murphy, Jimmy is back. He had the best score out of all of us this week, finishing P6, and he currently sits 119th in the overall standings, 2 spots behind Toby. We got a good race between these two once again this season. All right, looking at our sponsors, Joe Bike finished in the 173rd spot, currently owns the 22nd spot in the league. Louisville Mex finished P128, sitting 29th overall. Devin DL Racing King 11 finished 111th this week and is currently sitting 125th in the standings. David L, Mr. Wolfie Dragonfly, finished 149th and is currently sitting 34th in the league. And once again, Alex Taylor, if you have a handle in the fantasy segment, give me a holler over there at, what do we call it now, X? You can find me there at The Rowdy Dragon, and you can hit me up on Facebook, Rowdy Dragon over there. Let me know who you are on the league, and we'll get you in here for at least the last couple of weeks to see where you stack up against the rest of us. All right, moving on to some picks for this week. It's crunch time, 2 weeks to go. This is the cutoff race for the final race. So we're looking at some top dogs for you again this week, starting with the 11 car, Denny Hamlin. He's got 35 races run at the track with an average finish of 10.3. He's got 18 top 5 finishes, finishing up in the top 5 in 51% of his races. He's got 24 top 10 finishes, finishing up in the top 10 in 69% of his runs. He's led laps, a lot of them, at 2,226, averaging 63.6 laps led per race. And Denny has 5 wins at the track. He seems to know what he's doing here. Looking at his stage point picture, he's collected stage points in 19 out of 26 tries, 5 of those being stage wins. Well, Denny's gotten himself into a pickle and needs a really good run to get himself back into the final race. Fortunately for him, this is one of his best tracks, but racing for points doesn't seem like an option for him being 17 points out. He needs to go for that win. Looking back at his race here in the spring, he ran well, coming up with the third best average running position. He came in second on driver ratings. He had the fastest car early and late in a run, and his green flag speed ranked second while running the most laps in the top 15 at 99.3%. Denny will be hard to beat this weekend. Consider that 11 car for your lineup for Sunday. Okay, our second driver, the 12 car of Ryan Blaney. He's got 15 races run at the track with an average finish of 9.5. He's got 7 top 5 finishes, finishing up in the top 5 in 47% of his runs. He's got 9 top 10 finishes, finishing in the top 10 in 60% of his runs. Ryan has led 377 laps at the track and is still looking for his first win. Looking at his stage point picture, he has also collected stage points in 19 out of 26 tries, 3 of those being stage wins. Now, Blaney is also a super performer at Martinsville. In the last 9 races, he has finished all in the top 11, and his average finish during this period is 5.4. Ryan will be looking to collect as many stage points as possible to secure his berth in the final 4. His last run in the spring did not yield any stage points, and that team will look to correct that this weekend. Looking back at his loop data in the spring had Ryan's driver rating listed in 10th. In terms of speed, Blaney ranked 9th in green flag speed. He was second fastest late in a run and ranked 9th in 4th segment speed, lending to his average speed rank of 10.5 and a 7th place finish. Look for that team to be one of the front runners this Sunday. And finally, we'll look at one more driver, a non-playoff driver here in the 22 car, Joey Logano. He's got 29 races run at the track with an average finish of 11.1. He's finished in the top 5 10 times, that's 34%, and he's got 17 finishes in the top 10, averaging out to 59% of his runs up there in the top 10. He's led a gang of laps also at 1,123, and he does have 1 win to his credit. Looking at his stage points also has him collecting stage points in 19 out of 26 tries, and one of those being a stage win. While Logano is not in the hunt for the cup, I feel he'll be a good guy to roster this weekend. While he has been struggling a bit this season, his run earlier in the spring at Martinsville yielded a top 2 finish. In fact, he'll have to go back 9 races before he has a finish outside the top 10. In this period, he has the second best driver rating behind his teammate in the 12 car. Rostering the 22 comes at a bit of a risk, however, as his loop data stats from the spring were less than average. He did manage good 4th segment speed, which powered him up to that P2 finish spot. Again, his average speed rank was less than stellar at 21.5, but somehow the 22 managed to work himself into contention late in the race. Keep an eye on his practice speeds to see if he has a good roster for your lineup on Sunday. Okay, that just about does it for me over here this week. Don't forget to come on over and check out Rowdy Dragon's NASCAR Fantasy Sportsbook over there at TobyChristieCom, breaking down these head-to-head matchups and those long shot picks that I gave you last week. I hope you used them. They worked out. Anyway, come on over to TobyChristieCom and check it out. All right, looking at our current points leader in the league, Larson 2023 took that top spot back away from Troy Clark. Got a great battle up there for that top position. 2 races to go. These two will be duking it out till the end. Our current playoffs leader also changed hands. Matt 1121 stole that back from Edith Babe. Another good battle going up there in the top 10 for the playoffs. Okay, that about does it for me here this week. As usual, thanks for hanging out and listening to the Final Lap Weekly Fantasy segment of the show. I am Rowdy Dragon. I will be back next week.
All right, Rowdy Dragon with your fantasy NASCAR picks for Martinsville Speedway. Only, what has he got? 2 more for the year? Usually he does 1 into Phoenix and then a recap afterwards.
Yeah, and obviously we'll welcome him on anytime he wants to. I mean,
well, yeah.
That's how it is. But
For
no,
sure.
really, really good stuff. He's had some great stuff this season. He messaged me during the race. I guess in stage 1, I was leading the pack in our league. Things fell apart pretty quickly. The wheels fell off. But I looked pretty good in stage 1, so I appreciate Rowdy reaching out during the race for that.
He said you and I are really close. Maybe we should check out.
Yeah, I'm sure we are.
Yeah.
I kind of whiffed in the playoffs here. I've been leaving my roster, not even looking at it because I've been so busy, which should allow you to keep catching up to me a little bit, I think, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's going to be close. You and I should maybe wager something on the Phoenix thing.
Ooh, how close are we?
Well, we should have listened to Rowdy.
Well, let's see how close we are at the end of this weekend's race, and we'll see if it's close enough to make a wager. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, yeah. I'm up for like $100,000. How about you?
$100,000?
No?
I'm in the wrong industry apparently. The writing part is not what you need to be doing. I guess the radio is where it's at. Jeez.
I was seeing if you were paying attention.
$100,000? Wow.
Yeah, why not? So
How
where
about
would
my
we...
Rangers, by the way? You're always talking about your Dodgers. I noticed we haven't had one mention of my Rangers on this show.
Well, you would have to mention them.
Well, there you go. The Texas Rangers in the World Series, really, really cool to see. And it's kind of a weird year for me sports-wise because my sports teams typically suck, Kerry, okay?
Uh-huh.
But I've got the Texas Rangers and Miami Dolphins. I mean, I've got a pretty good chance here this year of something happening positively for my teams.
All right, if you say so.
Okay.
I'm actually going for the Rangers because I just, as a baseball purist, I do not believe the Arizona Diamondbacks belong there. They ended the season 16 games below first place. They're a wild card situation. I don't think it's not one of the best teams in baseball. And
Well, you
and,
can say
and this
that, but-
format now is such that you don't need to be a 100-game winner anymore. You just need to skate by, get enough wins to make the playoffs, whether it's a wild card or not, and then you take it from there.
Well, you can say the same thing about the NASCAR playoffs. There are guys that can get
I
that
don't
one
like the
win,
NASCAR
skate
playoffs.
through.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous that the championship four comes down to one race and you blow a tire early in the race and your season's done after winning, 6-8 races. That's stupid.
Hell, you can win 9 races and not even make it to the championship.
See? Stupid.
It's pretty wild. So it's interesting. Although I will say in the baseball side of things, I mean the Diamondbacks did have one-on-one, no weird tires exploding, no engines expiring, one-on-one gauntlet to where they're at. So I mean you could say that once the playoffs started, they have earned their way there, but I'm with you. I don't think they deserve to be there, which is why the Rangers are going to win this World Series, right?
I'm a National League fan at heart, diehard Dodger fan, but yes, I am going for the Texas Rangers.
There you go. Kerry is rooting for my team, much like I rooted for his team a few years back. So we'll see how things go.
Absolutely. All right. Fantasy racing, I can't find where we would see. I don't do this enough, and
We'll catch up on it at the end of the next race. It's okay.
All right.
No big deal. It doesn't matter where we're at this week. It's where we're at the end of next week.
we'd just listen to Rowdy. Why don't we do that?
We
We
could
should-
just do that.
Yeah. See, people don't realize how we do the show. We record our side. Rowdy's been done for days because he's just, ahead of the game always.
He's a machine.
And I trust what he does so much. I literally just plop it into place after we're done talking. So we don't really listen to Rowdy beforehand, which
No.
sounds kind of weird.
We listen after.
Yeah.
But yeah, as the show is going on, we don't listen beforehand.
So if you're yelling at the radio going, you just played him. Did you not listen? No, there's like 2 seconds between our intro to Rowdy and coming out of Rowdy, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So we've got Martinsville this weekend. I'm going to run down the track stats. And, oh, wait, we didn't do news of the week. You want to do that first or after?
Whichever you want to do. We can kind of let this thing be an amoeba. We can let it go however you want to go.
Well, let's do the track stats first because, why? Let's mix it up.
Okay.
All right. It's race number 35 of 36, which means the season is almost over. Up for grabs, $8.5878 million. Also a shot in the championship four if you win the race. So there you go.
You say $100 million?
Eight. No, that's my bet with you.
Okay.
It's been increased. No, $8,587,800. That's the total.
There it is. That makes more sense. That maths for me.
There you go. Plus, you get a shot at the championship four. It's a half mile of mayhem, although it's slightly over, 0.526 mile oval.
They have changed their name, by the way. I saw a new logo. It's
Uh-oh.
now known as the short track.
Is it capitalized?
It's underlined. The is underlined.
Okay, the short track. There's
Yeah,
no others.
I'll find the logo and I'll send it to you. But yeah, it's pretty funny. I saw it this week. I was like, wait a minute, that's new.
Bristol's going to go over there and pound on him.
Right.
The two tracks are
And-
going to go at it.
The thing I was saying this week is like the unfortunately, because I love this racetrack, the racing in the next gen car there has not been incredible yet. So I was hoping that if we're going to do like these monikers and stuff, let's hold off until we have a good one. Like,
Yeah.
let's at least get a good one in the bank with the new car before we start
The.
touting it as the short track. And yeah, here, I'll send this to you right here.
All right, banking up to 12 degrees, so not too much. Front and back stretches are equidistant at 800 feet. I'm sure there's some weird laser-guided thing that says they're not, but whatever. Cup race, 500 laps, 263 miles. That sounds like a dizzy fest right there. Stages weighing at 130, 130, and 240. Last year, oh, check this out. Last year's pole sitter was Kyle Larson. Last year's winner was Christopher Bell. Those two guys, if memory serves, there's something special. Oh, that's right. They're both locked in.
Yes. So no pressure for these guys, and they have the confidence of knowing they can get it done at this racetrack. Man, it's going to be exciting. 500 laps, though, instead of the 400 laps in the spring. Gives you an extra 100 laps to kind of have some chaos happen. We haven't really seen people be able to use the bumper hard enough to cause any major severe issues in the next-gen car. Will we see that change this time around, Kerry? Will somebody do what needs to be done to advance to the Championship 4?
You mean like a Hail Melon kind of move? Can you believe
Right.
it's been a year?
It has, and now we obviously won't see that. It's been outlawed. So
Outlawed.
Somebody has to do something to make it happen. You're close in the closing laps of this thing. You got to do something. If you got Chris Buescher sitting there in second place on the last lap in earshot of the leader, does he put the bumper to him? Does he rough him up for the win to move into the Championship 4?
Of course. You have to. Absolutely.
But how do you do it? We've seen guys try it at this track with the next-gen car. You bump. It's not hard enough. You're going to have to really initiate some big-time contact to move the leader out of the way.
Do you think drivers are testing that in the sim?
That's a great question. Hey, throw another car up there.
Right.
Put old Jackson Storm out there so I can go chase after him for a minute.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's it's something. I don't know if they even have the ability of doing that in the sim. I would imagine they would. I always hear about them running it by themselves, but
if it's as real as they claim it is, why wouldn't you be able to simulate that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's a great question.
So yeah, Ross Chastain. I mean, I'm sure we're going to see that video over and over and over this weekend.
Yes, and man, I'm excited. So it's gonna be fun being there. It's
oh, that's right. Hot dogs are on Toby.
Hot dogs are on me. Flag me down if you see me at either the infield hot dog stand or the outside hot dog stand. I'll be at both at some point throughout the weekend.
I will laugh my butt off if there's like a Toby Christie line.
Oh, I already know Davey will be partaking in the hot dog. I can already tell you. Davey's listening right now, and he will be taking me up on that offer because we'll be seeing each other at some point during that race weekend.
He texted me, by the way, a couple hours. That's how fast he listens. A couple hours after our 800th episode dropped.
He's quick. Yeah, so he texts you now. He doesn't even text me anymore. He just goes directly to you. I think he's working on weaseling me out of this show. What's going on?
Yeah. No, he was very nice and cordial and congratulatory.
No, we had a good time over at the kickball tournament, Corey LaJoy's kickball tournament. We were kind of catching up quite a bit there. It was good to talk to my buddy Davey. We don't get to see each other as much as we like to, but it'll be good to see him if he's out there in Martinsville. I guess I'll buy him a hot dog.
All right. Wow. That could be an interesting weekend for Toby Christie.
We'll see how things go.
For sure. So what's going on? What else for Martinsville are we supposed to be looking at? We've talked about the Championship 4. We know the two drivers that are locked in. There's possibly 2 points positions that they could be if someone else doesn't win. It's Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern on NBC. I don't think we mentioned that.
No, I don't think we did. So there's that.
And then Xfinity Series Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern on USA. So all over the map.
Well, and we're going into this race where short tracks usually, brew tempers. So if you've got a little bit of a feud going into one of these races, typically it extrapolates things, right? Things get ratcheted up to the next level. You got Denny Hamlin, who had the issue after having some issues with Ryan Blaney on track last week.
What happened? I thought this was his year. What happened to old Denny Hamlin?
So both of these guys are not happy with each other going into this race. They're both very good at this particular racetrack. If we get down to the closing laps, and it's between them, what do we see then? There's a lot of questions to be had. And again, we still don't know if anybody can even initiate the contact it takes at this point to make it happen anyway. But it'll be fun to find out and see if it does. But I think it would be phenomenal to see Denny Hamlin either first with Ryan Blaney behind him, knowing that if Hamlin wins, Blaney's out, and so Blaney might do something. Or the reverse. We've seen Hamlin be a little bit more aggressive than what he usually typically is because he likes to claim that he's a very clean race car driver, but he seemed to throw a little bit of that out the window this year. So it'll be interesting to see what Hamlin or what Blaney we see if that is the scenario we're presented at the end of this race.
Yeah. Something's going to happen, though. We're going to be talking about something.
Yeah, I've got a feeling we've had, 3 dud races at Martinsville. I just find it hard to believe we're talking about a 4th one. I can't see it.
We were all talking about Chastain last year, though.
We were, but the race itself sucked up until that.
No, for sure. He and then
he saved the day.
Then, of course, NASCAR bans it and takes all the fun away.
Right. But, I mean, to be honest, it's a good thing they did because we would be seeing about 30 cars doing that on the last lap this weekend.
That would be awesome.
It would be awesome the first time, but then the next time we come around, it wouldn't be so awesome. It would just be like, all right, this is hokey, this is stupid.
All these cars just wash up into the wall and just floor it. That would be so funny.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's interesting. So we'll see how it goes. But again, I'm excited to be down at the track. It's always fun to be at the track. Hot dogs on me, asterisk, as long as the bank account has enough funds.
Yeah, you might have a limit, a mental limit or something.
Right. I'm just going to start hiding once I get to that limit.
Which is so unlike you.
I know. I'll be no longer the man of the people. I'll just be Kerry.
Gonna lock yourself down in the media center?
Yeah, I'm too busy, guys. Can't get out there.
Yeah, you should almost say it's fans only because there's a certain guy with initials of JJ that might hit you up on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that would probably hit me up on that. I've got to be really careful.
All right, let's get into news of the week from TobyChristieCom. And one thing that jumps out at me is Bubba Wallace running an Xfinity Series car this weekend at Martinsville. And if memory serves, he's pretty good at Martinsville.
He's pretty good at Martinsville, although that will not be an Xfinity Series car. It is a Cup car, but with Xfinity sponsorship.
Oh, right. See, it mixed me up. That's why I wanted to mention it, because I didn't want others to be as confused as me.
There you go. Yes, you can't. Cup guys can't run Xfinity playoff races, but it would be a Supra, not a Camry. But yeah, so he's gonna be running a really cool paint scheme. It's called the Selfie Car. So 65 Xfinity Rewards members won a sweepstakes with like 1,000+ entries to get their faces put on the number 23 car for this weekend. Looks really cool.
Nice.
Super awesome purple paint scheme, which he's starting to become that guy that always has the purple paint scheme now between Lido's, and then you've got the Grimace car from this week, which is really cool.
Grimace was out there. That was awesome.
Yeah, Grimace, the Hamburglar. I was almost jealous that I wasn't there this week. So I'll be pumped to see if we can see some of them walking around Martinsville. That'd be fun. But maybe I'd buy Grimace a hot dog. That'd be fun.
That'd be weird because that's not his thing, is it?
I don't know. Do you think that's like against the code?
It probably is. Yeah, I mean they're just supposed to peddle hamburgers.
And do they have like a little slot for him to like open up like to actually eat something, or does he take the whole costume off?
Yeah, he doesn't have a mouth, does he?
No, like he's got a mouth, but it's not like an actual mouth.
Yeah, no, it's just drawn on or whatever.
Yeah. I imagine like a trap door, you hit a button and like then
does the Philly Fanatic just suck him through his horn nose or whatever?
That is a great question. I don't know. We'd have to ask
I love
somebody.
Him.
Yeah, so that would be interesting to know.
What else we got here? Jesse Love going Xfinity Series racing. That's what my eye caught both of those headlines because they're next to each other. There you
go. That's what you got. So yeah, Jesse Love. This is big, by the way, because he won the ARCA Menard Series Championship this year, driving a Toyota. He will move from TRD to Chevrolet.
Wow.
As he runs for Richard Childress Racing next season, and the 2 car, which was recently vacated by Sheldon Creed, who has also been rumored to be going from Chevrolet to Toyota with Joe Gibbs Racing, which has not been made official yet, but that is the rumor on the street. So we'll see how it goes.
Wow. 7 penalties issued across NASCAR's National Series?
Man,
7?
It was wild. The penalty report came out, and it was like, holy crap, what is this? It looked like an entry list. It did not look like a penalty report.
Wow.
But yeah, so Ryan Newman, who was in the 51 Ford Mustang for Rick Ware Racing, fined $10,000 for not wearing a head sock on his head underneath his helmet during qualifying.
Huh. I
So
didn't
that's a
even know he
bummer.
was in the race.
Yeah. So then we also we also had CHK Racing, Richard Childress Racing, Joe Gibbs Racing. All were handed safety violations of different magnitudes throughout the weekend. The most severe, by the way, though, was the 21 Richard Childress Racing team, Austin Hill, who's trying to make it into the championship 4 at Phoenix. He won't be having his crew chief on the pit box this week. Andy Street has been not DQ'd, suspended for a race after 2 lug nuts were left loose on the 21 car this past weekend.
We're
So
back with that.
yeah, back to that. Jason Ratcliffe for Joe Gibbs Racing also fined $5,000 with a missing lug nut. And then, of course, in the Truck Series, we had 2 more of the Tricon cars that were missing a lug nut at the end of the race. But the biggest thing from the Truck Series garage this week was Thor Sports number 98 truck. The truck ran by Ty Majeski. L1 level penalty due to issues with their front suspension. That's a 10-point driver and owner point deduction. They're going to have to win this race in Martinsville to lock in.
Wow.
Wait, they're not in Martinsville.
I was going to say, they're done.
Doesn't matter.
Hey, finally, I got you on something.
You got me. So, if that's possible, you getting a hot dog from Toby at Martinsville is possible as well. So there you go.
Wow, all kinds of stuff going on. And like we mentioned, I think something's going to happen. Something's brewing.
I agree. It just feels like we've kind of had this like, everybody trying to be a little nice. We had a little bit of the flare up with the Blaney Hamlin thing, but I'm with you. I feel like we're going to see something. Somebody's going to cross over a line, and somebody's feelings are going to be hurt. And
somebody's going to call somebody else a hack, and that might flare up. And
something is happening somewhere. That's for sure. I find it hard to believe we get out of this weekend unscathed.
Yeah. All right. So, who do you like? Who do you think are going to be the 4?
I like. Obviously we got Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell have made it easy for us. They're in.
Sure, they're in. So what are the other 2?
I feel William Byron makes it in, and I think Ryan Blaney gets in, but I don't think it's by just pointing his way in. I think he wins this weekend in Martinsville Speedway to advance to the championship 4.
I'm going to go a different route. I like your William Byron. I think he's got a pretty solid shot, and I think he'll be fine for that 4th spot. I think Denny Hamlin's going to do something extreme. Everyone's going to be mad at him. He's going to get booed. I'm not sure what that is, but I think that's in the cards.
All right. You think Hamlin does something extreme to make his way into the championship 4? Here's another thought to have, though. With Byron 30 points to the good, Blaney 10 points to the good. If Blaney makes up 20 points on Byron through the stages, that puts a situation where if somebody else wins that's not those 2, Blaney could possibly leapfrog Byron as well. So that's another thing to keep an eye on as well, that, Byron, although it looks safe, it's still up for grabs. So nothing's safe in this sport until you actually have it in your hands.
That's for sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. So, wow. So Byron's got a win there. Bell has a win there. Who else? Just looking at the top 8 here. 4. Larson has a win.
Hamlin. Did Truex ever get a win there? I know he was close. He was running really well there for several years.
Where is Truex? He has 3 wins at Martinsville.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So, yeah, Truex has got wins there. I mean, this is the only guy really that I'm worried about in this is the guy who really needs a win. And that's Chris Buescher. He has 1 top 10 in his career at Martinsville. So I don't feel very confident there.
Yeah.
Although they've been very, very good compared to his career stats at every track this year. So it's one of those guys where you don't really know until you see how he competes this time around. But we'll see. And how's Reddick? I don't know how Reddick's at Martinsville. I haven't paid too much attention to him there.
Quick. Reddick, 1 top 10.
Ooh, so there you go. So those 2 guys, it doesn't look very good.
Yeah.
But
average finish is 20th.
Interesting. Well, he's only 10 points out, so
yeah,
we'll see if he can rally around that and make something happen.
Yeah, for sure. I think the checkered flag is flying on the show.
Ooh.
Yeah. This has been the Final Lap Weekly. Catch us next week right here, when we will recap the racing at Martinsville and preview the final race of the 2023 season. Going down at Phoenix, all 3 series are in action for the championship in their respective series and all the stories in between. Toby, you and I will chat next week.
We sure will. I'll be sporting a nice big old gut from all the hot dogs I'm going to be eating, so it's going to be good.
And the colonoscopy coming up next week. We'll have that live here on YouTube.
Oh, no.
And we'd like to thank our current list of Patreon paying people, those that will be paying for said colonoscopy.
Wow, wow, wow. You had no clue your funds would be used in
No.
this way.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'd be a refund to ask for if that was the case going into it. But, you know, it is what it is. So we've got our list of sponsors we mentioned at the top of the show. Alex Taylor, Louisville Max, Joe Bike, David Letchworth, and, of course, Devin. So thank you guys so much. And thank you, everybody in this list. We've got Lalo. We've got Robert Keene, Jimmy B, Mr. Jimmy James, 1983, Quentin Whitaker, my buddy from Daytona, super awesome dude, super cool family. We've got Simon Green from across the pond, Troy Clark from down under. We also have Peter Johansson, David Reed, James Maples II, Evan Taylor, Mike Hamilton, Nick Reed, Scott Clark, Justin Kapasinskis. We didn't even really talk about it, but his guy Kyle Larson went into the pit barrels there, so that's pretty wild.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And then, of course, Charles K. Miller, the longest tenured listener of this here show. He's listened to them all. I think we're at we're at 802 right now? Is that what
802, yeah.
802. I guarantee you Charles K. Miller has listened to all 802 as I'm finishing the sentence. So there you go. So That's our list. That's everyone. Back to you, Kerry Murphy.
Join in on the giving fun over there at patreon.com/thefinalapp.
And turn the